Hey, everybody, welcome back. Craig Schaup here with George Thomas, our film critic from the Akron Beacon Journal. George is here. We are talking eh, streaming mostly today because it's January, and we all know what that means. The movie industry kind of goes into some quiet hibernation, although there is a film that's coming out on Netflix that has a little bit of intrigue with some fan favorite stars going at it. It's The Rip. George, how are you doing today? And happy doldrums of movie industry month for you.
I am doing reasonably well. I've enjoyed the doldrums of the movie
Okay.
industry.
It's a nice palate cleanser. You know, you can catch up on some things and watch some streaming, but we do have The Rip, which this isn't getting a theatrical release, right? This is just straight up on Netflix, is it not?
Correct. And, given and I'm sorry, Ben Affleck and Matt Damon still have star power. But given star power behind it, it's kind of surprising. Joe Carnahan directs, so,
Yeah.
but,
And Tiana Taylor, fresh off of a Golden Globe win.
And see, kudos to Netflix, because I don't know if you saw my favorite movies list. They had, never thought I'd say that. They had 4 movies on my favorite films list.
Yeah.
And damn, I feel guilty.
Well, yeah. But I think that's also a testament to, I think when Netflix wants to, they can bring the heat when it comes to the movie world. They just screw around with the theatrical releases, but that's just kind of to be expected these days. But and hopefully not too bad in the future with the Warner Brothers deal, although it could be, and it probably will be a little bit less than spectacular as far as theatrical goes. But we have a movie that probably could warrant a theatrical release, although who knows, it might not make a lot of money. Probably a decent budget given the star power that you have. But like you said, Joe Carnahan, kind of an uneven director for me. I did like Narc way back in 2002.
Yeah.
So I remember that was a movie that I watched and thoroughly enjoyed. Less than spectacular. Smoking Aces. That was a movie I was very excited for as sort of a follow-up from him. Very stylistic, but not a lot of substance to it. I know a lot of people liked The Gray with Liam Neeson. So, he's had a career where, he's made some movies that people have gone and seen and that people like. So why not be able to attract Ben Affleck and Matt Damon along with a newly minted Golden Globe winner and Tiana Taylor?
My guilty pleasure with Carnahan is the A-Team. So,
oh yeah.
First of all, I have to admit I like the movie. I mean, it's got a semi-original story. I mean, you expect it's about cops, and you have certain expectations when it comes to cop stories, right?
Yeah.
And there are a couple buddy cops here, played by Affleck and Damon. No surprise. But the story itself is about a team of elite cops from a unit tasked with investigating drug crimes and basically seizing the money behind those crimes. They're investigating the death of their captain, who was onto something in that respect. And they get a tip on a Miami drug house that's supposed to have X number of dollars in it. And, Matt Damon's character, Dame Dumars, Lieutenant Dame Dumars, leads this group in place of the captain now, tells them that they got this tip. Let's go. We're going to take care of this and be done. Tiana Taylor's one of the cops. Ben Affleck's another one. A couple of lesser names, including Stephen Yeun, is one of the cops. And they go to this house and they discover $20 million of money in Home Depot buckets. Unmistakable Home Depot buckets.
Yeah.
And the protocol calls for the money to be counted there. but in the midst of deciding what to do, whether to follow procedure strictly and report it to their superior, they just go with counting the money there. Which to Ben Affleck's character JD is a bit shady. Boom. A trust issue is established right in that moment, right? He's wondering what's going on with his boy. Complicating matters at some point during what they're doing, the counting, they get a phone call. Get out of the house or you're going to die. Now, there have been rumors of cops hitting these houses for the cash. So, boom, another issue is planted right there. Now, in the midst of this counting, the other cops, Tiana Taylor's character, the other two cops, Stephen Yeun, you're counting $20 million. I mean, if you're a cop, if you're anyone in the working class, even if you're middle class, what are you going to think? They're not going to miss that many hundreds.
Right.
And, this big debate ensues about ethics and everything. But what Carnahan, who wrote the script, is setting everything up for is this tense, taut, just unbelievable exploration of who is trustworthy and who isn't. And at some point, you come to a realization that someone within this unit is dirty. So, the enemy is within, and he manipulates everything perfectly, as far as I'm concerned. The performances are spot on, and I really enjoyed this movie. It's a movie that would play well in the summer. Bone Temple, I didn't see this week. I took the first 2 weeks of the year off from theatricals, primarily because of weather and it being 35 miles away.
Right.
But I hear Bone Temple is good for my son who reviews, but it's like, my lead was, this is likely to be the best movie released this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So, that shows how much I enjoyed it. I mean, if Netflix is willing to pick up the slack of the January graveyard, more power to them. But I really enjoyed this as an escapist piece of action entertainment with the scenes and situations being handled very well.
Yeah. This kind of is a movie where you're looking at it and you've got the star power, you've got the genre built in that people might be interested in. This kind of seems like they don't make them like they used to, or at least release them in theaters like they used to anymore, because this is a movie that probably is coming around like a $75 million budget or more. Probably a movie that might not make that much money if it's in theatrical, because it's rated R and you've got other competition with Avatar and some float overs and 28, the Bone Temple as well. But is this kind of like that where this you said theatrical? This could have been a theatrical. And maybe it's better that Netflix is like, we're willing to spend the money to get these stars, and as long as they're better produced than some of those. Hey, some of the cast of the Avengers movies are going to start making their own solo projects, and they're going to just kind of be like one-word titles that are throwaway movies that unfortunately had huge budgets. And, that's maybe why we've lost the movie star, I guess, these days, because people just play, certain characters or IP. But, this is kind of like a throwback where, this might have been, like you said, a summer release or a fall or a spring theatrical that maybe just finds its home on streaming. And I think because of that, I know we talk a lot about we don't prefer streaming over theatrical, but these are the kinds of movies that can now be made probably because theatrical exists, and it doesn't have to cater to the theatrical, or the streaming exists and it doesn't have to cater to theatrical, because a lot of studios would probably just say, "Nah, we can't make this," or if you're going to make this, you're not going to be able to make it for $75 million.
And exactly, primarily because no one wants to pay Ben Affleck and Matt Damon these days, and
Yeah.
that's a consideration. That's too bad because with as many collaborations as they've had, I can't recall one that was objectively bad.
Yeah.
And that goes back to Good Will Hunting.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and this is, and Joe Carnahan is a skilled director. I mean, I'm not saying he's an elite of the elite directors, but he is a skilled enough director that, when he's got the right material, he can make, strong choices as a director to produce something that, is worth watching. And, it really goes against the grain for some of these big payday movies where you're seeing like Chris Hemsworth or Chris Evans or Chris Pratt or somebody getting a big payday to make a movie that's just more or less a high budget throwaway that they just want to say that they have the Russo brothers directing, or they have, Chris Hemsworth starring in an action thriller that no one will remember 5 minutes after they watch it. But it's promising that we can get better quality streaming options, is it not?
It is, but I got to ask if you're talking about Mercy coming up.
Well, that's
and the Hemsworth heist film that's coming up.
But those are actually theatrical releases, though, I will say. So I will say this. More power to them if they're going to get that paycheck. You got to pay the mortgage. And I hope that they're better than what they look like. Those don't look very good. I think I'm more along the lines of, like, I think Chris Hemsworth made Extraction and Extraction 2, like 2 movies that no one has ever probably heard of or will ever care about. Or I think Chris Pratt made like The Tomorrow War or something on Amazon last year. Movies that people don't know about, even though they're like big blockbuster budget movies that probably would have been summer releases. And I think that's why we get this like fading of the movie star. And I don't always agree with what Quentin Tarantino says publicly, because sometimes he's just downright mean, and he's been downright mean lately. But I do agree when he said, like, we're moving away from the movie star, that you just have characters that they play. That's Iron Man, that's Captain America, that's Thor. It's not necessarily, well, that's a great property because Chris Evans played Captain America or Chris Hemsworth played Thor. So there are very few movie stars that kind of exist right now where I can say, like, that is a movie star, or, that will be a movie star. And honestly, it's probably those people that are picking and choosing wisely, like Timothy Chalamet and Austin Butler. We talked a lot about them. Like, after watching Marty Supreme, I'm kind of thinking, like, yeah, Timothy Chalamet is insert Leo DiCaprio love, like getting into that territory where he's going to be on that trajectory. Austin Butler, the same way, where they're picking and choosing wisely, and they're bringing gravitas to roles that don't necessarily always have built-in IP, even though, yeah, Dune is a known property, but it's not as well known as the Avengers or, things like that. And those people are carrying movies that otherwise maybe wouldn't get carried or even thought of these days as being theatrical. But, and I was a critic of Chalamet. I didn't think Chalamet was much more than like, oh, he's a good actor. And, but, I kind of thought, like, after seeing Dune Part 2, I felt like he is a movie star. Like, this guy commands the screen and he looks the part. And a lot of it, the way they shot him, they made him look, imposing on the screen, even though he's not some big hulking man. But, they made him look better in Dune Part 2. And it really made me think, like, yeah, this guy can carry films, and Austin Butler, I feel the same way.
You know whose career was like that to start?
Who?
DiCaprio.
Yeah. Yeah. You do those actory movies, and then all of a sudden you get thrust into some Titanic level project, and now all of a sudden you're a sex symbol, a movie star, and everything in between. And he's carried that for decades now.
Was that pun intended?
No, I'm not that smart, George. Come on, you're giving me too much credit. But yeah, I mean,
Aesthetic level
I
blockbuster. Ooh.
yeah, but no, I mean, I really, have thought about a lot of this the modern day cinema. And I think the Golden Globes. I actually watched the Golden Globes for the first time in a couple of years,
You and three other
and
people.
and it was funny though because I was watching and I was like, like Julia Roberts presented, and she got like a standing ovation in the room, and I'm
You all.
like, that's that. Like that's she is her, like Julia Roberts is a star, George Clooney like it takes a certain level of person to like bring that out in a room. And I think we don't see that as much these days because everybody kind of like works in these like DC, Marvel properties or whatever, Mission Impossible, whatever. But like, it's just so rare to see like just movie stars inhabiting the space these days. But I will say though, I think with Chalamet, with Michael B. Jordan, Austin Butler, people like that, I really feel like the future is bright in the acting world. It just may not have, the same depth of star power, maybe, although maybe it will. You never know who's going to shine. But you did not watch the Golden Globes.
There was football on, man. There was a playoff
Yeah,
game on.
that
And
is true.
I flaked back and forth, and it's like I remember. I don't know what they're like now, but I remember what the Globes were,
Hmm.
and it's like it can't possibly be more palatable than they were.
Yeah,
Meaning, not at all. So
right.
man, and they build that as one big party,
Yeah,
and it's basically a way for Hollywood to party. And it's like
yeah, yeah.
more power to them.
I feel like though the last few years, it seems like the awards have been a better precursor to the Academy Awards. So I do wonder, one thing I wanted to ask you was Sinners has had a tough go of it outside of course, the non-televised Ludwig Göransson winning for best original score, which was laughable that wasn't televised. But it's obviously most people thought it was going to strike out with best actor. I mean, DiCaprio or Chalamet seems to be in the driver's seat for the Academy Award. Although I think Michael B. Jordan is solidly in when maybe 6-7 months ago we didn't know for sure that he'd be solidly in the best actor category. But does Sinners not really raking in some of these wins with all these nominations make you think that it's going to have a Barbie level Oscar where it just has all these awards pile up but no wins?
Absolutely. I think it'll get original screenplay.
Yeah.
It had the misfortune of coming out the year of One Bad Thing After the Other, which is probably Paul Thomas Anderson's best film. And let's be real, the Academy has basically ignored Paul Thomas Anderson's movies
Yeah.
with respect to actual hardware. So I don't necessarily have a problem with him getting the kudos he's deserved after all these. They basically Spielberged him. That's the best way to put it. I mean, if you remember, Spielberg got the Thalberg Award before he got his first Oscar for direction, which is insane.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I agree there. I do think it will win screenplay, and I kind of now think it's going to win score, even though I know
it'll
the
win
Academy,
score,
the
but
Academy though might go to Greenwood because Johnny Greenwood's always been a nominated guy, and he's a PTA guy. And One Battle After Another's score was very unique, and
it
I
was.
think it'll be a battle. But I will say my preference would be Sinners score because it was such a musically inclined movie. And I think the score was that much better, in my opinion, than One Battle After Another. But I think the Golden Globe win might have maybe cemented that a little bit. So I think it's going to win two pretty decent awards at that. But there's been talk, I think Variety even said they might think it could get 15 nominations based on on how it's tracking, which of course would be a record.
Well, it's what will piss me off, and it seems like it's etched in stone. is K-pop Demon Hunters, whatever the song is from
Oh,
that.
the song, yeah, Golden, yeah. Oh,
That will piss me off.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I still think that it's really tough that "Lied to You" is not. I mean, that song was incredible, and it was so greatly used in the movie. You know, but it's just it's kind of a popularity contest
And
these days.
I remember when the music portions, those songs were about a song that helped move the narrative forward.
Yeah,
What I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
It's become less and less that, more of a popularity. You're absolutely right, and it will tick me off because it was objectively the best song of the year in that category.
yeah,
So, you know,
yeah,
I'm stealing myself for it, and when it happens, I will be pissed off. And if they actually do the right thing, the Academy, and give that song the Oscar, I will have a heart attack.
yeah,
They're not immune to the criticisms of recent years, where it's basically you got this, and I hate to commit generational warfare, where you get, I won't even say millennials, although I think it's younger millennials, and I think it's Gen Z who think that these awards are supposed to be popularity contests.
yeah,
And the Oscars specifically states it's for awards. Their awards are for cinematic achievement.
yeah,
And there's a difference between that and a popularity contest. I mean, I lurk around Reddit, right? And
mhm,
I go into the Oscar Reddit, and there was a post there arguing that Jurassic Park deserved to be the best movie of the year in 1993. And I'm like, what?
I think people have like, I mean, and obviously that's not recency bias, but they have like a biasness toward like the populist movie of that year or of a certain year where it just, I mean, look, everybody likes their own thing and they love their own thing and they gravitate to their own thing. And I get that, but I is
But
it really the best movie of 93? I mean, I
what,
don't
what
know.
else? What else came out that year?
Well, Schindler's List.
Boom. So you're gonna
So it wasn't even Spielberg's best movie that year because he had Schindler's List that year.
exactly.
You know what I mean? And that's what I argue too with his run in 2005 when everybody liked World of Worlds, although I didn't like it. But Munich came out, and I
That
loved
was his
Munich.
best movie. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's one of my favorite Spielberg movies. I know it's not his best, but I love that movie.
Well, I liked War of the Worlds, but I knew that Munich was the better film that year. And it's like yeah, it's generational warfare. A lot of these individuals, these people, they don't know what the hell they're talking about or what they're watching.
Yeah,
It's all about entertainment, and that's it strictly. And part of me gets that because 12-year-old me was pissed when Star Wars didn't win Best Picture.
yeah,
But come on,
yeah.
grow up, gain some perspective.
I wonder how many of those Jurassic Park fans even know that Schindler's List existed that year, and I wonder if they even know that that movie was directed by Steven Spielberg. You know what I mean? So I
Yeah.
just wonder the depth of knowledge and saying like look, if you want to get on your hill and die on that hill for Jurassic Park, that's fine. I mean, that's fine,
Oh,
but I think it comes with a little bit of depth to it, though. You need to be able to say, like, yeah, I acknowledge that he had Schindler's List that year, but Jurassic Park did its thing better than what Schindler's List did. Now, they're not the same movie. You can't compare them. They're out to do different things, but I just wonder, like, oh, I love Jurassic Park. Well, okay, cool. That's fine. Certainly not among Spielberg's best, probably not even among his 15 best, but you got to think about it from the perspective of what else came out like in that particular year or whatever it may be. And I think that's why everybody got a little, butthurt a little bit when the New York Times did their top 100 movies of the 20th, 21st century, because it just seemed like, are you really, was it arbitrary? Like, how did you come to these decisions on why a certain movie might be better thought of than another movie just because it's a popular movie? Or I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of that goes around where, well, that was a good movie that year and it was popular, so that's the best movie of the year. That's not how it really works.
No. Well, just the person who posted that comment was informed that Schindler's List indeed came out the same year, and it wasn't Spielberg's best film. And that poster died on that hill.
Okay.
And it's like, yeah, okay.
I'm sure their letterbox is probably filled with a lot of great content too.
Oh, yeah, and it's just, and I had to quit going in. I don't even comment anymore.
Yeah.
I just. Yeah.
It's almost like you can't. It's like your jaw's on the floor so much you just can't even comment. It's like, yeah, I'm not even going to get into this because it's not worth it. But
I have to tell myself that Reddit skews younger.
It does.
I know this because they can't spell and they don't know grammar, but that's beside the point.
Well, and I know the Golden Globes aren't your thing. They're not usually my thing either, but I did watch. The Critics' Choice Awards, though, are part of your thing, as you are a member of that circle. Did you watch the Critics' Choice Awards? What'd you think of the your fellow man and women voting on the Critics' Choice here?
I flicked back and forth because, again, football was on and the playoffs were on the line, and that's part of my main gig. I have to be informed of that stuff. So,
anything stand out from the Critics' Choice or even the Golden Globes? I know a lot of people are thinking like maybe Hamnet might have an opportunity to rival One Battle After Another at the Oscars. I mean, does anything stand out from either of those two voting bodies?
Jacob Elordi.
Yeah.
I turned just when they announced his name, and I'm like, what the actual did my group do?
Yeah.
And that was the one that shocked me. Everything else, I did not vote for some of the nominees that won. I have no problem admitting that.
Right.
But that's the one that surprised me, and I can't remember who I voted for in that category.
Do you think that win nomination for a Golden Globe, do you think that squeezes him into that top 5 for the Oscars? I mean, that's a pretty competitive category when you think that, you're going to probably have Stellan Skarsgård, you're going to have Sean Penn and Del Toro, Paul Mescal as well. And then realistically, I guess you've got Elordi versus Sandler for that 5th spot, right? Or, in that top 5.
Yeah, and I'd argue that they'd give it to Elordi for a nomination, but simply because Sandler has been there before.
He hasn't been there, though. He's never been nominated.
You sure?
For an Oscar? Adam Sandler?
I thought
he did not get nominated for it. He was not. No.
Wow. Shows my depth of knowledge, doesn't it?
You're not young enough. You're not young enough to know Adam Sandler, the Adam Sandler greatest hits. But I know it does seem like, he could get squeezed out because at first it seemed like he was pretty solidly in all year. And now Elordi's kind of making a late run with a win in the Critics' Choice. And then, of course, nominations. And I would imagine he might get a BAFTA as well, which is another precursor to the Academy. So maybe Adam Sandler gets squeezed out yet again, or maybe
they actually reward him for a body of work with a nomination.
Yeah, they could. Very interesting, though.
I could have swore he got nominated for Punch Drunk Love.
He did not. No.
Oh, well, that's a great injustice, isn't it?
Yeah, well, another one of his non-Adam Sandler.
What's the commonality there with Punch Drunk Love?
With what?
Nominations and therefore...
PTA.
Boom.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Yeah.
that's what it
All
is.
right. Well, I know you've got some streaming going on. What have you been watching that people can maybe check out at home as they stay away from the weird movie theater releases?
If you have Paramount Plus, if
Yeah.
the latest Star Trek series,
Yeah.
Star Trek Starfleet Academy debuted, will debut tomorrow, I believe. Got the first 6 episodes and was quickly screaming at my television screen.
In a good
Um,
way or a bad way?
the first, in a bad way to start.
Okay.
Now, um, I was afraid it was going to be Star Trek 90210, and the first 2 to 3 episodes are Star Trek 90210. Now,
Okay.
the setup episode, the first episode, the pilot, is decent. It's pretty good. Nice
Yeah.
setup. You get this group of cadets led by primarily by one named Caleb in the Starfleet Academy, and the next couple episodes turns into this uh, it turns into it lacked character development for me. Okay,
Okay.
it's a setup. They're telling you what Starfleet Academy is all about, and there are changes that hardcore Trekkers are not going to appreciate because
Okay.
the Federation and Starfleet Academy have always been about exploration first.
Mhm.
In the new Star Trek universe, which is set 800 years in the future, ahead of previous Star Treks, due to the Discovery, USS Discovery, leaping, and I know you're not totally into this,
It's already over my head.
they leaped 800 years ahead. So
Mhm.
it frees them from canon.
Mhm.
They can do their own thing. They've got
Yeah.
800 years of previous history to work for that's never been explored. Well, that's set up and everything, but there are just some inconsistencies. Well, not inconsistencies, but interesting creative choices like dialogue,
Yeah.
completely insipid dialogue. I mean, when you have an isolated a cadet from an isolated planet suddenly in Starfleet Academy talking in bro language in the
Mhm.
32nd century, I take issue with that as somebody who's watched almost every minute of Star Trek ever made.
Yeah.
Um, what it's got going for it, Holly Hunter, Paul
Oscar
Giamatti,
winner. Yeah.
yeah,
Paul Giamatti as well. Yeah.
and she just throws herself into this role. Most laid back, cool captain I've seen in quite a while. I'm enjoying her performance. I'm enjoying Paul Giamatti as a bad guy, and thankfully they're there because they're needed. Man, are they needed to get you over that hump.
Yeah.
Um, by the time the fourth episode rolls around, it started to feel like Star Trek to me,
Okay.
even with these younger characters. And I'll be honest, there was one episode that literally had me in tears because it paid homage to my favorite Star Trek series, which, if you look behind me, you know what that is. Um, um, so, I gave it a B minus in my review, but I also, in parentheses, but I reserve the right to come back and revisit this because I want to see how the last 4 episodes of the season play out before I pass final judgment and decide whether I'm coming back. Right now, it can go one of two ways. There was just enough good for me to want to see the last 4 episodes.
Okay. I have to say, looking at the IMDb, one of the worst posters I've ever seen for a Star Trek
Is it that circular flowery thing?
Well, the cast is kind of like laying in the ground and they're like looking up at the camera and they're like smiling like it is a 90210 episode.
There you go.
That's a very unlike Star Trek looking poster there. So,
I mean, they're not shy about admitting that they're trying to move this forward to another generation, and every franchise has done it. Yep, that's the one.
Well, they want to get those young Redditors with bad grammar and spelling errors to get all in on it.
I guess. I mean, I'm sorry, the Star Trek subreddits are still some of the most literate unredded. So,
yeah,
I don't know how many are going to be poking around there.
Yeah, we'll see. Anything else that you've been streaming or that you've been watching lately?
Hijack.
Idris Elba.
Yeah, Idris is the man. That series is awesome. But it's worth a watch. Second season, first episode premiered last week, and I have access to all of the episodes, and I've binged the eight episode run. Very good, very very taut, well directed. You know what I truly discovered? The Pit.
Okay.
And
is it as good as I've heard? I mean, I've heard really good things about it.
Okay. It won the Critics' Choice Award, it won an Emmy, and it won Golden Globe. Yeah. And all of it's deserved. And mind you, this is what I did. I'm like, okay, I can pick it up with episode 1 in the second season. No biggie. I watched that and I'm like, okay, I'm going to go back to where I started last year, which was I got through the first 2 episodes.
Okay.
And other things took priority. And it's like, it's a 15 episode run, which is probably just right.
Okay.
For a season 4 television series these days. 10 never fit. 8 to 10 or even 6 definitely doesn't feel right. 8 to 10 really feel right. 15 seems about right. It's 15 hours in a day of this hospital in Pittsburgh.
Right.
And there wasn't a single bad episode. Each was compelling, well written, intelligent. And it's interesting that are you even old enough to remember ER?
I am. Yeah, I'm 41.
Were you an ER fan as a teenager?
I really wasn't, but I've never gotten into a lot of the medical dramas, to be honest with you.
It's an interesting flip for Noah Wyle, who won the best actor in a television series, all of those awards. It's an interesting flip because in ER he was the intern, the resident, and now he's being put in the role of Dr. Robbie, the attending physician in an emergency department at this Pittsburgh hospital. It's a teaching hospital. It's like university hospitals in Cleveland, where he's in charge of all these interns and residents. And it's interesting to see him navigate that role reversal. And he's awesome. I mean, it's a fantastic series. I can't say enough good things about it.
Okay, well, I'll have to put that on the list. I've kind of been intrigued by it. I've heard good things, but yeah, I don't know. Medical dramas I've never gotten into, but maybe this might be the one.
Medical dramas have always been kind of sanitized.
This isn't, right?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Right down to the baby delivery.
Okay, well.
And the humorous out of the shoulder. No. Ooh.
Probably not a good dinner. Probably not something good to watch while eating dinner, huh?
Definitely not.
Okay. Anything else that you have on the list that you've caught up with, or that you think people should go out and check out?
Well, not really. That's what I caught up on because I was off for 3 weeks, and I really, really took it easy. Let me double check that.
Yeah. Well, I hate to.
Three.
What's that?
Those are the big 3.
Well, I hate to ask about next week, but are you going to see Mercy with Chris Pratt?
I plan to.
Do you? Okay, well, you may be alone. Who knows?
Now, there are critics that'll be there.
Well, I'm actually kind of surprised it's getting a critic screening. I figured, maybe they thought, well, who knows? Maybe it'll be a lot of fun. Who knows?
We shall see.
Yeah.
It just seems
All
like
right.
a reverse Minority Report. That's what troubles me.
Only without Steven Spielberg, Philip K. Dick, Tom Cruise.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what worries
me. Yes. I mean, look, if you're gonna give me Minority Report, that's great, but something tells me this will fall very short of Minority Report, but we'll see.
Well, that January date is a dead giveaway, but yeah, you're right. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. It's like, Chris Pratt, sort of a bankable star, I suppose. I mean, he's been in movies that have made a lot of money, whether it's been because of him or not is whatever. And Rebecca Ferguson's a known actress, so you kind of feel like a January release. Is it probably just like, yeah, we got to dump this, and this is when we're dumping it. So I really, it's very rare to have a good January theatrical release at this point, unless you're getting a wide release from a December Oscar contender or something. But it's troubling. The release calendar is never kind on January. I think September might have reinvented itself with One Battle After Another, but I feel like January is still going to be just that way, only until there is a One Battle After Another that releases in January, which, if it's that good, it'll never happen. So, but anyway, we know that everybody, you can follow George with all of his reviews, whether it's written or his video reviews at beaconjournal.com. George, we hope you have fun at the movies. We hope you watch Chris Pratt for an hour and 40 minutes sitting in a chair, rewatching fun scenes that he's not involved with, I guess, or whatever the AI version is not allowing him to do. I don't know. It's a weird movie, but maybe it'll be Minority Report for the new Redditors,
You know better. You knew better when you said that.
Yeah. All right. Well, as always, take care of yourself. Have fun at the movies, and we will talk again soon.
Later.